your hands safe, honey. Tell your baby daddy to find bitches here. Hello, everybody. I'm Alex,
And I'm Mary.
and this is Lawyering
Lawyering
Out
out
Loud,
loud.
a podcast about life, lawyering, and
All the things we're mad about.
yes, folks, we are back at it again, and this is our first episode of 2025. Yes. And 2025 started off a little weird. So, Mary, how you doing? In my Wendy Williams voice, how you doing?
First of all, I used to be a teacher. So
Mm.
these 2 weeks of December that all these other teachers have off and I am here working is not working for me. And the fact that Christmas and New Year's happened in the middle of the weekend, I still had to go back to work the next day.
Who child the ghetto?
Sacrilegious. Sacrilegious.
The ghetto. It's giving white fridge. It's giving white refrigerator.
Let's get you a proper home.
The ghetto.
Girl, I feel like I'm drained, even though I've been this is the most I've been resting.
Mhm.
But I spent my New Year's with, friends
Mhm.
and had my little grapes under the table.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Good thing your buzz doesn't listen to this podcast. That's why I've been telling you to go on your own. See, I have been off since the 20th, and today was my first day back, honey. And I work half a day. Now, that's not the ghetto. Mm,
We all know you don't have a white refrigerator.
I do not. It is not ghetto over here. We rest with the students. We rest with the
Clearly,
students.
I gotta get back on that.
Yeah. Or
Now,
something.
how are you doing since you've been resting since the 20th?
Yeah, well, you look very nice today. Your hair looks really good. Just thought I would start off with a compliment.
First of all, you never do that on camera, so I'm gonna replay this on the
I
regular.
have literally given you so many compliments. Like, stop it. Um, but yeah, so it was kind of fun for you, right? It was like your first time in your place hosting, right?
Yes.
How was that? How was
It
that?
was
Tell me more.
beautiful. I had a handful of friends
Hmm.
and they came. We watched the countdown. We played games. Got intense because us black and brown folk can't play Uno quietly. I thought we was gonna get the cops called. But you know what? We made it to 2025. We were celebrating my dear friend's birthday. And from my balcony, we were able to see the fireworks. So it was beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Really
What did
nice.
you do?
Actually, New Year's Eve, I was supposed. Well, the group chat was making plans, and I was like, "Am I going to make it?" No, no, no. At like 3 p.m., I was like, "Okay, let me think about this." Right? I hosted New Year's Day because New Year's Day is Independence Day for Haitians. So I always have like a nice little something. And this year we were hosting friends. We had like a whole situation. It was so cute. That's the good part of being with somebody who indulge you in your nonsense. I bought so much for this lunch. And my partner was like, "Do you? Do you?" Like, I can't. Like, just do what you gotta do to make you happy. So, like, that was nice. So I was like, I have to wake up super early to cook because it was a lunch. Folks were gonna get there at like 2 o'clock. And as you know, Korean people food take forever to cook. So I had to prep the night before, go out, stay out, and I was like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Right, right, right.
I just stayed home.
You was gonna be falling asleep anyways, like you usually do.
Why you telling other people my business? I did catch 12 o'clock though.
I'm proud of you, friend. Actually, I messaged you a little bit after 12 and you were still up. So
Yes.
I'm proud of you. But that
Yeah.
wouldn't have been the case if you were out in these streets.
Yeah, I had half a glass of champagne and was drunk though. I got drunk off of. You know I'm a lightweight, so don't be judging. Don't be judging.
I
I'm
judge
a
it.
lightweight.
This is not a we listen and we don't judge. I judge.
I'm reconsidering our friendship. I'm reconsidering everything I thought I knew about you, ho, because you told me this was a safe space.
In 2024, in 2025, we're choosing violence.
You judging. Okay. I see how it is. I'm gonna judge you too then. Uh, but yeah, so it was at home, quiet by myself. As you know, I live in downtown, so the fireworks show was wild. Speaking of that, allow me to go on a rant for a minute, but like
Yeah.
nothing new here because I do that every time. Did you see that Dubai had a 53-minute fireworks show because they were trying to set a world record?
No, I didn't.
I don't want to hear you tell about environmentalism anymore. Like we are doing the best we can, but literally rich people are responsible for destroying the planet. So yes, you can educate people about protecting the planet, about certain things, but you need to pivot all that heat. You about two plastic bags to these 3 minutes of explosive
That's
and
crazy.
smoke in this fucking atmosphere is this. Sorry, even my lungs can't take it, and I'm not
Right.
even anywhere near the UAE. But you know what I'm saying? Like in downtown, like in Miami, like at the end of the year, there's always so much fireworks.
Right.
Be like 10 minutes of fireworks, and there will be so much smoke. The air quality the next day will be so heavy.
No, even here.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Now imagine a full blown hour. It's so irresponsible. Like we out here talking about like sea level rising in Miami within the next 30 years.
Hmm.
These kids not having a goddamn planet with air they can breathe. And y'all out here trying to set world record by polluting the entire fun. Okay, I am so tired of capitalism
Mm.
and like rich men specifically. Like one of the things that I noticed a lot about the UAE is like a dick sizing
Right.
contest over there. Like, we got the biggest building, got a big ass mall, we got a big ass this, we're breaking this record. And all of this is having the biggest ride in the world, the tallest building is nothing to be proud of. Polluting the goddamn universe. I said the universe. You know what I mean? That's why Gen Z's sick of y'all asses. Gen Z's sick of y'all. Somebody call Luigi. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that.
We will be editing that.
No, we won't. Cause
Oh, because you're choosing violence.
yeah, like these oligarchs are really a problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you use one straw and there goes a Karen telling you meanwhile they're sitting in a pile of waste. Pile
Right.
of waste, taking private jets. Jet fuel destroys the going to go see an hour long blasting of freaking explosives.
Mm.
But want to shame you about something that yeah we could do better about. I'm really trying to do better when it comes to environmental stuff. I
Right.
recycle a lot. I don't use any plastic that I can't reuse. But like we're not the problem. I'm sorry. Rant over.
Don't be sorry, friend.
Fine.
The show is literally all the things we're mad about.
Yeah, I am very pissed about that because it's like, and also like the audacity to tell black and brown people, like indigenous folks, have been caring for this land for so long and been telling you for so long to stop. But y'all think people of color are dumb. Y'all think people of color don't ever know. You guys get to be this arrogant because I'm sure 20, 30 years from now, when everybody else is gasping for air, you guys will find a way to sell it while your kids have it. So of course you get to talk down on us and look down on us and treat us like we are like ignorant on that indigenous people have been telling y'all for
Right.
centuries now to stop blasting, to stop digging oil, to stop fracking, to stop doing all this that's gonna kill the planet. Stop, man. We can't do it. We can't do it.
It's episode 1.
I can't do it for real. I'm so annoyed.
No, but I hadn't heard about that. So that is crazy. Even though we're not over there, somehow it always makes its way over here because we're all connected. So
It's the same colonizer mindset. Because who let's think about it. Who do you think was holding the world record for explosive in the air? You think it was some country in Central America? You think it was some country in Africa? Where do you think the second tallest building in the world is? It's in the United States. They're not competing with us. Those are, like I said, those are like oligarchs and rich men, like engaging in like concepts be like mine is longer than yours. We don't give a shit about none of that shit. We don't give a shit about none of that. But guess what? Like, as you know, they're never gonna suffer. Look at Miami.
right,
Overtown, Liberty City, Little Haiti, they treated those areas like the plague. But now that the water from the seaside about to rise up and drown all of them beachside condos, they're chasing all of us out.
correct,
That's folks like you, like myself, who are like now coming up. We can't even afford to buy homes in Miami. Homes in the areas we grew up in is like $1 million
right.
because these people now they done destroy the whole seashore and the water coming to with them. They're kicking us out.
Mm.
Anywho, next caller.
Sorry, now. Sorry, I was looking to see who had it on previously.
And who was it?
They had it last year too. They just wanted to prolong it 13 minutes longer than they had it.
That just enraged me. That just enraged me in such a special way. I digress.
So, as minimal as it looks to talk about it now,
Mm-hmm.
any resolutions for the new year?
2025, my biggest resolution is to really find joy in the midst of what will undoubtedly be some chaotic, and to work on my arrogance because I am really going to try to not come up in here and tell y'all I told you so every week,
Mm,
because it might be redundant and not good content. So those are the two things I'm gonna do: find joy in the midst of the y'all put me in, and not come over here and be like, I told you, mom. What's your New Year's resolution?
I was struggling to come up with one.
What?
I was.
You
Uh,
did so many great things in 2024.
yes. So I was like, I'm just gonna bask in what 2024 brought me and like work on nurturing and nourishing that. There was this, I know that I've spoken about her before. She wrote, this is a reminder that our ancestors didn't set quote unquote New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter. We are a part of the natural world and are meant to honor and flow with seasons. May you unlearn, remember, and allow yourself to slow down, go inward, and rest.
Mm, mm,
I was that slapped me in the face.
mhm,
So I was like, you know what? You don't have to set anything right now, but
mhm,
sit with it, go inward, see what it is that you do want to focus on.
mhm.
And then I'll start working on that, which is very different from how I usually approach the new year.
Yeah. I felt like this year specifically, I'm actually going to like a vision boarding party. I feel like
Nice.
this year I need to be like super intentional about setting resolutions and goals because there's so many things about my life as I know it that are going to change.
Hmm.
So I'm like, if I don't set myself on a certain path, I am going to resort back to what it is that is the known and comfortable.
Right.
Like even this week, I was tempted. Somebody called me with a really good case, and I was like, I could do it. I was like, no, no. Like you have to stay focused.
Right.
I wasn't even working. And I took the call and I was like, okay. But so that's why I'm like, my ancestors did not set such resolutions, but I think my ancestors did prepare very well for a time where they needed to engage actively in self-preservation as like a act of political warfare.
Right.
Yes, Sister Audrey, let's go. Oh,
Well, but you know that my December was a lot.
yeah,
Instead of rushing into coming up with a resolution that I know may not be the resolution that was intended for me to focus on, I'm going to take my time. And if I come to terms and realize, like, you know what, I do my vision board closer to February or mid
yeah, for sure.
February, closer to March, like, I'm not barring myself to this time frame of January 1st.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Can we also talk about this bum ass gym? I'm not going to say the name because I'm not going to give it any promotion, who posted on their social media, bum legit, talking about, oh, this gym doesn't take new applicants on January 1st because we're all, I have to pull it up.
I
Actually,
did not hear about that.
girl,
See, this is the struggle and this is the trash of like white supremacy and colonization. Like when you cannot decide whether being a fat phobe or being a capitalist is like the avenue you want to adopt. Because you're running a business that is rooted in capitalizing off of shaming people, but you cannot decide whether or not shaming is more important than making money.
that part.
Literally, when the snake bats its own head. Literally, when the whale swallows itself. I love like this. So you're running a business. I can't.
Multi-million dollar business.
I can't. So literally, that's what I'm saying. It's like I want to dabble in fat phobia so badly that I would do it at the expense of my other vice, capitalism. Okay.
Damn.
God, I didn't see this bullshit. They probably took it down. You
Yeah,
probably
I can't find it.
TikTok it because that's one thing I love about Gen Z. If you posted it, it's in somebody's drive.
Hmm. Oh, commit to something. If you waited for the ball to drop, you dropped the ball. Wake the fuck up.
So,
Tomorrow's too late. Talk less, commit more. It's not fitness, it's life. No, but there was something that was like, oh, it was in their stories, so I won't be able to see it.
oh, somebody grabbed it, girl. Somebody grabbed it. I'm telling you, go to TikTok. It's right there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not there. Can't believe I didn't send it to you. But so when are you going to your vision board party?
Tomorrow.
And are you gonna put me on your vision board?
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to send you a picture of me?
We're not going to be discussing our failures.
Take it back. Take it back. Our tongues are powerful. Take it back.
I didn't mean it for real, so I don't
Take
even.
it back.
I take it back.
Okay, thank you.
You threatened me.
And I did because we're choosing violence. 2025, we're choosing violence.
Okay, child. Wow. Speaking of choosing violence, let's get into what we are mad about this week.
Girl, where do we begin?
And what we are mad about this week is a wave of extreme levels of violence. And I'm not going to use extremist violence. I'm not going to use these coded words or like terrorism. Those are coded words, those are racist words. But there was a wave of violence that happened in various cities throughout the US on January 1st.
Yeah.
It was a bit alarming to me. Also, I would say there are like a couple of things that you and I discussed that piqued our attention
Mm.
is that it happened like right at the beginning of the year. I don't think that's a coincidence that people wanted to send this strong message day one of 2025. I think in a way maybe it sets the tone for the way
Mm.
things are going to be this year with these levels of violence that have, permeated like our mainstream narratives, politics, social media, news, all the way, all the things. And then also the fact that all these folks have background in the US military. So tell me, what makes you mad about these stories?
You know what? It's so multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on each perfectly, right? Obviously, we're talking about the New Orleans incident that happened. It's been linked to the Islamic State, but even the coverage of it, right? When we were preparing for this episode, looking at the coverage of it, it's exactly what you were saying, how coded it is. And we're also talking about the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas in front of the Trump building, and how, you know, your president made a comment and talked about, did you hear about that? How he made a comment and said, I told y'all that all of these immigrants are coming in through the border, and come to find out these are all American citizens who are in the military. Like I said, it's so multifaceted, but for me it's also a conversation that you and I have had in the past, right? And how the military operates, treats its people, damages people, puts them through what they put them through, because all of
Well,
them have gone to multiple tours, right, in the Middle East from 2006 until I can't remember when, I think in 2014. How now it's coming out that they may have suffered from PTSD. And the manifesto that one of them left said how he couldn't deal anymore with carrying the weight of the people and the things that he did when he was overseas.
so one thing I do want to tell you is I always am somebody who's gonna give a shameless plug to good work. I don't care. There is this podcast called In the Dark. You know I love In the Dark.
You've been telling me to listen to them.
Their third season is about basically massacre that US service members committed in Iraq and how everyone from the Department of Defense to the military court to the Department of Justice engaged in this massive cover up. These literal young men, like these were people who were in their early 20s. I cannot call them children because I think we know starting probably age 3 that murder is not good. They were definitely old enough to know that murdering people in cold blood was not a good thing to do, but they were still young and their frontal lobe was not fully developed, and they were giving heavy machinery and fed propaganda about Muslims, about Iraqis, about brown people, and were sent to this village where they could go and do this with full impunity. And then have the federal government at all levels make a mockery of justice by parading them in front of the media, in and out of buildings, knowing good and well there was never any intention to ever hold them accountable. One of the things that really struck me as they were covering the episode was that one of the people died by suicide
Mm.
that was involved in that incident. And I don't feel compassion for him. I have to be honest. What I'm feeling is not compassion, but I feel a little bit of rage because this was a preventable event.
Correct.
And oftentimes in the United States, we act as if the only causation is direct causation from A to B. But it's not true. That's not the world we live in. It's not real. It's a lie. When you have a young man who dies by suicide in his 30s because of guilt about things he committed as a very young man in his early 20s, he couldn't even buy a drink, but he
Mm.
could operate a machine that could eliminate 20 people in minutes. This was a preventable event. And again, do we see that time and time again? They were not old enough to understand what it's like to live with lifelong guilt about the things that they have done.
And they're not given the resources afterwards to deal with that.
There's no resources to deal with that. Let's be honest. No therapy can fix the fact that I watch, I mean, gruesome.
Correct.
Trigger
Correct.
warning. Trigger warning. We're going to talk about killing children. Let's give it about 20 seconds. They killed kids that were as young as 3 years old. I'm so sorry. I was a social worker. A lot of my friends are therapists now. Therapy can't fix that, baby. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
It can't fix it, but what I'm saying is I would think that it would be better to go to therapy and talk it with someone than
Or,
to let it fester in your minds
of
and live with it and read it every
course.
single day. Because again, the obvious choice would be don't do it. But
Yeah.
if you did it, the fact that we, like you said, we brainwash, we talk about the Islamic State and their ways and what they do to get people to convert and all this stuff, but it's exactly what our military is doing to our soldiers. It's indoctrinating them, making them think that they're on the right side, and then when they come back and realize it doesn't feel like I was on the right side, then what resources do they have?
None. None.
I mean, we literally have a specialty corps for veterans because that's how many veterans are induced by their PTSD.
Again, so like I would say this, and then I'm going to like pivot a little bit around it, is the idea of like ISIS and the Islamic State radicalizing everyday young American children, stuff like that, and inducing them into committing these mass horrors is a figment and a fallacy created by the US government. Can't tell me otherwise. 9/11 US military operative. This US military operative. All of these folks have ties to the US military.
Correct.
So please stop acting like me sitting here in my place is at risk of being radicalized by anyone. And also, we need to stop saying that when brown folks respond with violence to Western violence, is radicalization. But when the US military enters a village in Iraq and kills 24 innocent people who were doing absolutely nothing,
Hmm.
including a child who was in a corner in their nightgown, that's not radical behavior. There is nothing more radical than to exert violence on a person who's seemingly doing nothing.
Mm.
The problem is that when it happens to white folks in New Orleans, it is considered egregious. When it happens to brown children in a village in Iraq, it is, oh my God.
It is a casualty of war.
Correct. Correct. So I want to approach this conversation with a lot of sensitivity. And there were black folk who died, there were brown folk who died in New Orleans. So
Right.
this is not like a racial issue per se. And I want to approach it with a lot of sensitivity because these folks truly did not deserve to die.
Mm.
Truly, their families deserve to have them go back home from having an innocent celebration of life of a new year. Like, it's absolutely up what happened to these folks.
Right.
But we will stop using racist tropes and anti Muslim propaganda to spread bullshit
Mm.
on actions that non Muslims, white people in the US military commit routinely.
Hmm.
I mean, we have a whole fabricated state that is wiping out a population of people right now. And I don't hear the word terrorism. I don't hear any extremist words. I don't
Right.
hear none of these things being used. Come on. We will not resort to racism to discuss very serious matters.
Mm.
The US government, the US military needs to be seriously interrogated as to why they are consistently producing human beings
Woo!
engaged in these acts. The accountability does not lie with Muslims. It does not lie with brown folk. It does not lie with anybody but the US military. Why is it that every time we hear of these mass atrocities, there are people linked to the US military?
Mm. That part.
So yeah. I honestly couldn't care less about whatever information they found about anybody's connection to the Islamic State.
Mm.
The connection that I needed to hear is the US military. Just like every time I hear about a school shooting, all I need to hear is cis white boys. This is the things that y'all have to realize. Y'all sit here and look for things in the abstract when the answer is right in front of your face.
Yeah.
It's right in front of your face. The problem is not the Islamic State. It's not ISIS. The problem is the US military. The problem with school shootings is white boys being radicalized to think that they need to pick up weapons to do certain things. Do we need to make sure that people have less access to weapons? Yes. Mostly because we create white boys who pick them up and go kill children.
Mm.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it in that way.
Yeah. We have a serious patriarchy problem. We have a serious US military industrial complex problem.
Correct. Correct.
Those are the problems we have.
And like you said, I would take the question one step further, right? It's what did I see when I was over there to make me switch from being on the US side to realizing like I'm gonna fight this war on that side. If it is true that, they did become part of the Islamic State, right? So that's the question. It's why are military people constantly coming up as the common denominator? And what have they seen that would lean them towards that side?
The other thing also is I don't know if you remember early on when Israel started its genocide in Gaza, somebody set themselves on fire in front of
Hmm.
the embassy in Atlanta.
Hmm.
That was a US service member. There was another state where that happened and was also a US service member. So I think two that happened like 4 or 5 times in the US, and two of them at least that I could think of were US service members. And what I would like to understand is why are we not talking about just the general resorting to such extremes in protest of the actions of the US government? This is beyond our everyday people's absolute disgust and disdain with US government. This is I am disgusted, but I am carrying personal weight and personal heaviness around my complicity in these actions.
Correct.
But we are sending the US military in schools to recruit children at 15, 16.
Selling them a dream.
Bullshit, selling them bullshit.
Mm.
But yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Do you have anything else you want to say? This is me wrapping it up on my end. Anything you want to say?
No, I think you hit every single mark. I think, unfortunately, like you said, that more of this is to come. I believe that for the New Orleans incident, they found some other bombs, like homemade bombs, around the city that never went off, and they've claimed that he acted alone, but I'm not too sure on that. Just based off exactly what we were talking about, these are military men. You can't tell me that there's not a connection between what they've experienced in their trauma. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see a bit more of that in 2025.
Mhm. And also, two incidents on the same day, both military deployed at the same time, using vehicles and explosives. I think not. I think not. And I hate when I enter conspiracy theory land, but when you're dealing with things that involve the US government, you cannot help but. I mean, I'm
Correct.
a black person, okay? I know what happened to Malcolm X. I know about COINTELPRO. I know about Martin Luther King. Like, we can't trust it, baby. We can't trust it. We can't trust it. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But we're gonna have to take it with a grain of salt, like you said.
Right.
We're gonna have to.
As more comes out, I'm sure, like you said, I hate entering conspiracy theory land, but I'm like, what more could they come up with? And is what they're coming out with even true? Because I was just going to wrap it up by saying, as time goes on, we'll see what else comes to light. But who is controlling what's coming to light?
Yeah.
So we're going to
As
wrap it up
time
there.
goes, yes, as time goes on, meaning 20 years when this case get declassified, that's when we gonna find out.
That part, because it's not going to be as they continue to investigate. Right.
But what I
But
will say to wrap this up though is that I know we talk about these things as like news bits and engage in robust conversations about topics that we care about and that we all should care about, right? However, like when we get to like just the most basic form of it is that people lost their children, their spouses, their loved ones, and in such a violent, brutal manner on a day that they will never forget. You can't skip New Year's. You can't skip it. For as
mm,
long as you're alive, you're gonna remember and associate New Year's with that. So I do want to send a lot of love for the to the people who lost their family members. This should have never happened. Um, and we must commit to building a world where things like this no longer happen.
mm,
This is not hard to do. This is not hard to do. We can commit to handle each other with care, in a way where these massive atrocities don't happen and ruin so many people. So many times we have these massive casualties, and it's like we pause for 2 minutes, tweet some insensitive, disconnected, meaning
thoughts and prayers.
thought and prayer crap, and then we go back to business as usual. We must stop to think and reimagine and re-envision a future, but these things just don't happen. So much love to these families. Any last words, Mary, before we go to lawyer in the news?
No. I think you I think this episode is as heavy as the first few days of 2025 have been.
Mm.
But we decided that for Lawyers in the News,
Mm-hmm.
this episode, we were going to talk about something very disturbing that you and I have been talking about the last few weeks or so. And that is Matt Getz and the Committee on Ethics report that was released and its findings. I will tell you, I found that to be so disturbing. And the fact that he continues to work in the government is what you and I were talking about, is what floors me. And yet at the same time, knowing how government works, it doesn't.
That part.
I think it's very important too to include that there was a time where they were considering not publishing this report because once he stepped down from his position, there was no longer for a committee to be assigned to him. In the report, it says they found his actions to be so egregious that they were going to publish this report, something they've only done like two other times. That says a lot.
Yeah, without going into the very gruesome details, why don't you tell the people a little bit what Matt has been up to? And also keep in mind, folks, before Mary goes into that, Matt Gaetz was in the running to become Attorney General. Trump chose Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. And this is the, you know what? I said I wasn't going to say I told you so. Mary, please tell the people.
Just to highlight some points of what they said, right? The committee found substantial evidence of the following. From at least 2017 to 2020, Getz regularly paid women for engaging in sexual activity with him. In 2017, he engaged, I need you to hear this language. In 2017, he engaged in sexual activity with a 17-year-old girl. He engaged. Okay. Later on in the report, it goes on to say that they actually interviewed her and they confirmed that when this happened, she was in fact 17.
Why is he not in jail?
During the period of 2017 to 2019, Getz used or possessed illegal drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy, on multiple occasions. Oh, you mean possession of drugs? Okay.
Again,
Oh, you
why?
mean degree felonies for? Okay. You know what? I can't. I can't. Gets accepted gifts, including transportation and lodging, in connection with a 2018 trip to the Bahamas, in excess of permissible amounts. So, if you are a state employee, you have to do a financial disclosure of anything that you've received, right? And there's a capped limit of what you can receive, especially in your position. That's what they're talking about here.
Oh, you mean the same law that they arrested Andrew Gillum for? Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Right, that part. In 2018, Getz arranged for his chief of staff to assist a woman with who he engaged in sexual activity in obtaining a passport, falsely indicating to the U.S. Department of State that she was a constituent. Getz knowingly and willfully sought to impede and obstruct the committee's investigation of his conduct,
Mhm.
and he acted in a manner that reflects discredibility upon the House, which is why they chose to go forward and publish this report, which they no longer had any standing to do because he withdrew himself from this nomination.
Okay. I got three words for y'all. Florida statute 794.05. Okay. Let us read it. Because Matt Gaetz is from Florida, ain't he? Florida statute 794.05 says
Alexander, please wait, pause.
what?
Get to
This is a legal show.
No, I know, but you have crazy eyes right now.
I do
You are
because I
bugging
heard
out. You are
some
bugging out.
pedophilic bullshit.
You are bugging out. Okay, go.
Florida statute 794.05, section 1. A person 25 years of age or older
Correct.
who engages in sexual activity with a person 16 or 17 years of age commits a felony in the second degree And what I am seeing here is that we have Mike Gatz facing at least 15 years of imprisonment.
15 years prison.
At least 15 years of imprisonment. So explain to me why I am talking about Mike Gatz as a free man. Trump is probably gonna start a whole he's being attacked because he's pro Trump campaign. And
Here's the other thing. You think Matt Gaetz is the first one to be on this bullshit? Girl, please.
the other thing is, remember a few years back, there was an issue with Mom of Liberties. Their founder was.
Yes.
It's almost as if all of these anti LGBTQ people engage in pure projection for entertainment. It's like a snack, like they dabble in it regularly.
Mm.
Not you out here essaying people, we're talking about protect children, essaying children and talking about protect children. Miss me? Pure projection.
You
Pure.
know what's so crazy to me is that I could imagine people being like, "Oh, but she was 17,"
Yeah.
as if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me say something to you. As a country, I have never seen more unethical people than I've
Mhm.
seen in America. People will sit here and justify the unjustifiable when it comes to predatory behaviors.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All
You know, you mentioned Trump, and I was also reading this article that said that he's going to be sentenced for that the money case, the hush money case, and they were talking about how I think it's on January 10th, so next week they're going to sentence him. He's not going to go to jail, or they're claiming there's going to be no jail time, but apparently they're going forward.
no, he's not gonna get nothing. Nothing's going to
I mean,
happen.
he might be sentenced, but
It'll be a cold day in hell if this man ever sees any consequences for his action. And also, like, let's talk about it. As a podcast, with two women with the background that we have, we are very pro victim, pro survivors.
right.
And I think his action around a minor was what was most egregious. But my guest committed a slew of crimes that he could still be incarcerated for. So even though y'all can't get him on the minor charge, there are other ones, yeah, that he can be arrested for.
Mhm.
So we are not going to take the victim is not cooperating thing as a cop out. There are other crimes. There are campaign finance violation crimes. There are bribery crimes. There are other crimes, drug crimes, organized crimes, recall
You
crimes.
you know what's so crazy to me is that they were saying how he could have been charged with trafficking because he was having some of these women brought from different states
Across
to
state line.
engage in sex. Yeah,
Southern District of Florida, somebody.
that part. That part.
That's what I'm saying. So yes, okay, I might not get what I want, which is him under the jail for having sex with a literal child, but he could still get arrested for several things. Several things.
The other matter is that the people that he hired to engage in this behavior with, like for him, were the ones that turned on him.
As they should.
So
As
when I don't know if you read the entire report, they have text messages.
Oh yeah.
They
Up
have
the wazoo. I said,
they-
who is this?
not
This
screenshot.
is iCloud. Is this Google? What? Where y'all backed up the messages? Y'all got messages from there, there, there. I don't know if it's the phone company or I don't know where
Yeah,
this
those were
a
screenshots. Those were
folder.
screenshots. Those were
That's what
screenshots.
I'm saying, but I don't. Well, it could be a screenshot sent by the phone company. I guess somebody could
Well,
screen.
like for example, I have my older iPhone. I don't use it, but it still has all the messages. If I plug it in, it still has all the messages.
Mm-mm.
Girl.
Somebody was plotting to turn on Matt Gaetz. I would not be surprised if they have been cooperating for years.
Have to. Have to.
Because I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but like for you to have text messages from that far back, they had a folder that said Maddie Maddie, where they put all them receipts. Okay.
How we get seen
Just
next.
just like I like it. Just like I like it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love when predators, violent white men like Matt Gaetz, rely on loyalty and are betrayed. I love it. I love it. Because you sitting out here comfortable,
Very comfortable.
comfortable thinking, oh, I got everybody, I'm pulling strings. I got everybody. Well, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing. That report was disgusting. But
Girl, that report was insane.
yeah. But again, that's like another thing that I want to bring. Like Matt Gatz is our lawyer in the news, right? Matt Gatz was one predator that is a public figure that we get to talk about. But these things don't happen with US Congress representative, okay? These are happening in your homes with your uncles, with your cousin, with your play cousins. You know what I'm saying? We need to be very very mindful when we are discussing these issues, and this is why we offer trigger warning, because these are not, those are things that everyday folks that we are living through. This is the reality of so many young girls and so many young children in the United States. And yes, I'm very angry. Yes, I want Matt Gatz and all who behave like him under the jail. But there is also needs to be a revamping of how we see masculinity, how we see patriarchy as a tool for dominion over children, over women, over people, that forces people to engage in conduct where they feel like consent is not acceptable. Matt Gatz is a wealthy man. I do not find him attractive, but he has standard European features. Many women of age would have consented to sexual encounters with him. The problem is that's not what he was seeking. He was seeking dominion. That's
Mm.
why he engaged in sexual activity with children. We have to, as a society, raise boys, raise children who do not want to exert dominion over people,
Mm.
who appreciate enthusiastic consent. This is sick, but this is also one of those greater conversations.
Correct.
Because yes, it's more prominent when we see people with power, but that's because the more power you gain, the more you are able to maneuver this inner demon that is fueled by this patriarchal socialization that tells you that people are possession and children and women need to be dominated.
Mm.
Like this is a bigger picture kind of thing. But for as long as we continue to socialize boys, to not believe in consent, to push on people's boundaries, for as long as we continue to tell people, "Oh, she's just shy. She likes you. She don't really mean no." We will end up in the same predicament.
Mm-hmm.
Rent over. That's all I had to say about this. Mary, what you have to say to bring us home?
Listen, unfortunately, I think 2025 is going to bring a lot more exposure of this as well.
Hmm.
Um, not actually, not unfortunately, unfortunately for our mental health, but I think it's time, that the cesspool explodes. And I think we're gonna see a lot more of that coming out from, obviously these spaces of power, Congress, Hollywood, And so all we can do, like you said earlier in our conversation that we had, is protect my mental health, right? Because it's not the first, it's not the last, and we're gonna hear a lot about this in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up, right, I think this is gonna be highlight of our conversation tonight because everything else was a lot. It was very heavy. We just 2 days into January, like 2025. But you talked about it a little bit earlier, how you celebrate January 1st.
Yeah.
It's Haitian Independence Day. And so our learning out loud is Haitian Independence Day 1804.
Yes.
That's what that is.
So we celebrate 221 years of independence and 220 year and 364 days of US meddling in our business. And Europeans meddling in our business. Won't really be talking too much about that because this is the high point of our episode. But Haiti is the first independent black country. Don't let nobody fool you. We do not eat cats, but we do eat racist. Yeah, that we do. As the French, they'll tell you. So we are very proud. We are very proud of being the first Black Republic. We are the blackest country outside of the continent of Africa by percentage, but by not by numbers. The largest population of Black people, like by numbers, is in Brazil, but by percentage, we are about 98% Black. We love that for us.
Wow.
And we carry that with a lot of pride. And we always celebrate real good. Haitian people, we love to celebrate. We have our little, our little alcoholic beverages, our little pumpkin soup, and
Little
I did
Suzumu,
that.
which um I want to let all my Haitian friends know that we are no longer friends. Alex, you're safe because you're in Georgia. Nobody offered me soup jumu this year. Nobody.
You could have came to Georgia and had plenty. I made several kinds.
I said I was, you were safe. Did
I,
you make it with me with meat?
I made it with meat. I made vegan. In past years, I've made it with seafood. I just always offer the people a variety, honey.
Okay, now.
If I mean, we
Listen, actually, can I just do a little plug in here?
Mhm.
You talk a lot of shit about you don't work, you don't do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. You throw down in the kitchen.
I do know how to cook.
Like you put your foot in it. I was just talking to you about how when I come visit you later on this month, I was like, girl, I've been craving your spaghetti.
I'll make you whatever you want me to make you.
You throw it down.
Fun fact is, I actually am not like a big cooking girly. Like people have told me, "Oh my god, you should make like a cooking channel and you should record you making foods and stuff like that." Partially because I cook very authentic because I learned to cook home. Like I didn't grow up in the States. But I just don't have the patience. And I'm
I
too
was just gonna say, you
busy
can't
on
you
Facebook.
can't have this. You can't have this being recorded because you and I FaceTime when you're cooking and you out here throwing pots, mad as hell, curse, and you're like, oh, the hell is this? It don't taste right. Actually, the people might like that.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever had a cooking channel, it would be like no other because y'all would hear me cussing in Creole, in French, in Spanish, in English, and all
Yeah,
sorts of language.
you be talking to yourself. Girl, it's the funniest thing ever. So you know what? I support it. I wasn't gonna support it at first because I don't want people to see how crazy you are. But you know what? Am I raking them
What
bills?
I'm gonna tell y'all, what y'all not gonna do is have me over a pot with eyebrows. My cooking channel is gonna have no eyebrows.
Babe, can you imagine your eyebrows melting?
All my life, I had to fight.
Right, correct.
True
Correct.
ancestor fashion. But yeah. So happy Independence Day to my people and everybody black. And also, I'm going to finish on this note. Is like Global anti-blackness and white
Mm,
supremacy has sought to divide us, black folk, and people of color. But Haiti's freedom is freedom for all black people.
mm,
And as black people, Haitians went around and tried to free so many black people afterwards. And let us be honest, Haiti fought really hard to get their independence, and we don't hold it as like over anybody's head that we went around several countries freeing people. But this is a look into the mindset of our ancestors and what they wanted for us to be united and come together and fight for our collective freedom, not to be on these Twitter streets looking ghetto as hell, arguing about diaspora wars, saying Haitians don't like Black Americans and Black Americans don't like Nigerians and Nigerians don't like this. We are out here worrying about nationalities when we have an orange man married to an Eastern European woman plotting with a South African to destroy you.
mm,
White people do not have divides around nationality. They unite around whiteness to destroy all of us. So
mm.
while we're out here talking about Jamaicans, Haitians, Nigerians, Bahamians, Ghanaians, and all of that, these white people from three different continents, uh, all of from all corners of the planet, where whiteness is being cooked, are coming together to screw you over. So happy Independence Day to all black motherfuckers. Let's get it together and tighten up.
And with that, follow us on our social media.
L Out Loud Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And our email, of course, loutloudpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you all. Bye.
That's a wrap. Bye.